Hello you demons and happy Friday. Today we are going to be covering some creepy paranormal stories and glitches in the Matrix. I hope you're comfortable because the last story on this list had me freaked out. Today we'll be starting off with the story of the reality-defying photo. The story begins by the person explaining that around 12 years old they went to a camp. While at the camp they decided to take a picture of their friend using their disposable camera. But there was something strange about this photo. In the same photo, the friend appeared twice, posing in two different positions. Till this day, they say they're creeped out at the fact that their friend appeared twice in a single photo. Honestly, that creeped me out a bit too. Next up is a story I called the Kings Island Coincidence. One day, a Redditor's dad decides to take him to a place called Kings Island. Now, the son, being extremely excited, asked if he could invite his friend. His father said that he could invite his friend Chris only if Chris was able to pay his way into the park. The Redditor decides to rush to the phone and call his friend immediately. However, when he picks up the phone, there's no dial tone. Confused, he says hello, only to have his friend Chris respond to the other side, say hello. Being confused, the Redditor asked Chris why he called him. Chris then said that his dad invited him to Kings Island only if he could pay his way in, much like his dad just told him. They had both called each other at the exact same time to ask the exact same question. This brings friendship understanding to a whole different level. Our next story follows a person that was lost using Google Maps. While navigating the city, they looked up and they saw that a direction on their map said to go straight, but this path was under construction. When the person saw the shortcut, it said that it was unauthorized access to the public. However, they noticed a lot of common people using it, even a grandma. So they decided to use a shortcut, but this is when things got weird. When they opened the door to use the shortcut through the construction zone, they noticed that none of the people who actually used the shortcut were there. It was nothing but a bunch of construction workers looking at them confused. The Reddit user, similarly confused and scared, just turned around and decided to walk away. They explained this shortcut as a point where humans decide to exit the Matrix. I don't blame them. I'd probably be just as confused if I was there. This next story is called The Voice. One day a little girl and her aunt are going to the beach following a family member in a car in front of them. While driving, the aunt noticed the car in front of them made a hard right, so, of course, instinctively, the aunt made a hard right as well to avoid whatever was in the road, but they realized it was a bend in the road that could have led them off a cliff. After avoiding a possibly terrible event, they hear a disembodied voice that neither of them recognize say, "Sharp bend, huh?" At this point, both the aunt and the daughter are so startled they pull over, and that's when the car in front of them pulls over as well. Now, the car in front of them looks back and says, "Did you hear that too?" Both drivers had heard the exact same voice at the same time. That's strange. It's almost like there was a guardian angel that stopped them from actually going over the bend and possibly dying. If you're enjoying these stories so far, please consider subscribing to enjoy more horror content like this. But let's keep going. It's about to get really good. This next story I like to call the breakup ? One day a Redditor explains that they're just relaxing on the side of the street waiting for their fiance to come back home. A taxi pulls up and their fiance steps out, looking very angry. Confused, he asks the fiance what's wrong, and he gets slapped. The fiance then responds with, "I don't ever want to see your face again." Confused, he follows her up to their room and continuously asks, "Why are you leaving? What's wrong? What did I do?" She grabs a few of her belongings and decides to leave, and just like that, she leaves back in the taxi cab. However, as he's noticing this taxi cab leave, he feels arms wrap around him. He looks behind him, and it's his fiancée. At this point, he's completely confused, and his fiancée greets him with the normal warm hello and a hug. He explains to his fiancée this weird event that just occurred, so they decide to look at the footage. They see him following a girl that looks extremely similar to his fiancée up to the room and back down. At this point, both the man and the fiancée are terrified and decide to never speak about it again. Up next is the war story. When the Reddit user was 11, they went with their mom into town to go buy some things. Now, the mom decided to go into an art store that the Redditor wasn't really interested in, so they decided to stay out and wander around. While wandering around, they come across somebody inside of a dark alleyway. As they got closer, they realized it was a Vietnam veteran. The Vietnam veteran ended up asking them for $1 in exchange for 2 stories. In his story, he explained how he was an M60 Hilo machine gunner. The veteran said in his story that his entire squad was wiped out by a 122mm rocket barrage, and nobody made it out of the town center that they went into. After a moment of silence, the veteran thanked the child for listening and apologized for not being able to carry on with the second story, but in exchange, they gave him a poorly made M60 pin from his hat. The child, being incredibly appreciative, thanked the veteran for the pin and thanked him for the stories and their service. This is when their mother called their phone looking for them, and of course the Redditor went out and waved their mother down. However, when the Redditor turned around, the Vietnam vet was gone. There was no way that they could have disappeared, and the only way to hide was in a padlocked trash can. They then told the weird circumstance to their mother, and the mother agreed that it was really weird. But this is when they remembered something. His entire squad was wiped out. Nobody made it out of the town square. Oof, I'm getting chills. Finally, we made it to that last story. This story is called What the Hell Happened? The story goes that one night, a Redditor and his girlfriend were enjoying a night of rest and relaxation just watching TV. This is when the Redditor explains as a TV jump cut occurs to him sitting at the edge of his bed completely naked, being terrified. He looks to his right only to see his girlfriend doing the exact same thing in the nude, with eyes as big as golf balls from how scared she was. Both him and his girlfriend were shaking in fear and had no recollection of what had happened. Both the TV and the lights had all been turned off. Being completely confused, the Redditor decides to check the time and realizes that 4 hours had passed. To help try to explain what happened in that situation, both him and his girlfriend went for checkups and CAT scans only to find out that absolutely nothing was weird about it. They had no poisoning and no brain damage. There were also no evidence of gas leaks or any sort of poisoning that occurred from the food that they ate. The Redditor ends this post by saying, "Somebody, please tell me what happened to me." I don't know about you guys, but the hair on my arm is actually standing up in goosebumps right now. You can't really see it, but ooh, that story just gets me every time. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys want to hear more scary stories like this, leave a like down below. Comment which one was your favorite. Mine was personally the last one, as you guys know. And don't forget to subscribe if you want more horror content like this. And as always, stay spooky. Bye-bye.